And we are back at it for another week of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley here on your local TV station, the NCW Life Channel. Wake Up Wenatchee Valley is on the air. It is Monday, the 23rd day of March, 2020. I'm Dan Kuntz, your host. Lots to get to on this Monday. I hope you had a good and safe weekend. I hope you had a chance to enjoy the weather that we had. It was beautiful over the weekend because things are going to change. Things are going to be quite unsettled for the vast majority of this week. The big story today is going to be the wind. We'll give you a complete weather forecast, also the latest news, of course, the local angle, if you will, on the coronavirus will be our top story as we get to the news here. Not going to waste a lot of time. We have a lot of things to get to. Sports is pretty light, as you might imagine. We're going to try and compress as much as the beginning of the show as we possibly can because I'm hoping to get 2 interviews in the back half of the program. Jefferson Robins had a chance to have a Skype session with Congresswoman Kim Schrier, who is also a physician. We'll have that interview coming up, and also my conversation with Bonnie Orr, the Dirt Diva. If you're going to get out and about, even if you're self-quarantining, you can at least work on your yard and get a yard and garden, get that prepped for the upcoming growing season. That'll be our conversation with Bonnie. We'll try and get both of those in before now. And the top of the hour, 45 degrees, fairly clear skies, but again, big change coming in the weather. Nothing dramatic, but certainly not what we had over the weekend. Let's take you around the valley with our Valley View cameras. As you can see, the high clouds are hanging over the East Wenatchee area, not so much over the Wenatchee area. The first of a couple of weather systems pass through the area today. It's going to last through Wednesday. We get a brief break on Thursday, and then another system comes in over the weekend. Saturday's high was 63. Yesterday's high was 61, both well above normal. Sunrise this morning already happened, 6:56. Sunset tonight, 7:19. That's 12 hours and 23 minutes of daylight. Good morning to the Wenatchee Valley from our cross camera. Camera number 2. We say hello to, why do I not know what that is, Megan? Oh, that's the Coles Corner camera, but it's been moved on me. No ice, by the way, on Lake Wenatchee. None. And I saw a Facebook post or social media post, can't remember where I saw it over the weekend, somebody up at Hidden Lake, and Hidden Lake is completely free of ice, so that there's still some snow in many pockets of the areas to the northwest of us in the Lake Wenatchee, Plain, Coles Corner, Winton area. Good morning to our friends up north. Thanks for starting your day with us. Camera number 3 is a dissolve to Jump Off Ridge. Wenatchee Valley way off in the distance in the upper left-hand corner. The Stamil Basin dominating your view as we look at Jump Off Ridge. You can see almost the entire East Wenatchee bench, and you can see those high clouds. It's going to be mostly sunny today, but we can't rule out a raindrop. But again, it's going to be breezy to downright windy. Details are coming up. Incredible view from the Jump Off Ridge camera. And finally, camera number 4. We say good morning to Leavenworth. That's the Tumwater Canyon. Recognize that one immediately. Good morning to our friends in Leavenworth. I hope all of our bars and restaurants and the employees are hanging in there. I partaked in some local delivery over the weekend. For one thing, I was trying to self-quarantine, and for another thing, I'm trying to keep those restaurants that are offering pickup and delivery up and running. It's a great way to get good food and keep these folks employed and get the money in their pockets and during these trying times. So that's our tour around the valley, courtesy of Localtel Sky-Fi high-speed wireless setup. Beautiful area we live in. Too bad we have to be inside for a great deal of the time. 4 minutes after the hour, a couple of slides to show to you from the National Weather Service. These are your wind gusts this afternoon. This isn't sustained winds. This is the wind gusts. As you can see, most of it's going to be relegated out in the Columbia Basin, Moses Lake and Ritzville. Basically, I-90, the path of I-90 between Ritzville and Spokane, between Moses Lake and George. You're going to be windy. Not so much here in the Wenatchee Valley. The occasional rogue gust between 25 and 30 miles an hour is expected today. Sustained winds about 15 to 20 miles an hour. Most of these winds, by the way, will be this afternoon. And when we talk about wind gusts out in the Columbia Basin, we talk about patchy blowing dust, and that is a possibility today on I-90, especially between George to Moses Lake. This is a continuing problem, of course. It's also been very dry. We had a very dry winter, and there's no moisture in the soil and in the dirt to hold down the dust. So watch out for some patchy blowing dust today on I-90 from George to Moses Lake, and certainly maybe even from Moses Lake to Ritzville. It's always a problem area when you don't have anything holding the tumbleweeds and the dust to the ground. So be forewarned if you're traveling on I-90 in either direction out of the Columbia Basin, especially again later on this afternoon. All right, let's take a look at that forecast from the National Weather Service. Chance of some rain, yeah, a little bit, about a 30% chance of rain. We're going to have some sunshine. High today about 59. That's a little bit above normal. But it's going to be breezy. This morning, a west wind about 6 to 11 miles an hour. It picks up in intensity to 15 to 20 miles an hour. And as you saw, we could see the occasional gust up near 30 miles an hour at times today. Partly cloudy tonight, 33 for the overnight low. Still a little bit of wind. It will eventually die down. We're not expecting any wind on Tuesday, just lots of clouds and a high of about 54 degrees. And we do have a 40% chance of some showers on Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday night, partly cloudy, 32 for the overnight low. The system that's coming in today will exit the area on Wednesday. Lots of sunshine, temperature just a little bit below normal, no wind, no rain. So Wednesday looks to be about the best day of the week. Thursday, lots of sunshine, high of 54, but Thursday night, the next system comes in, gives us a slight chance of a rain-snow mix. Yep, still talking about a little bit of light snow. 36 for the overnight low on Thursday. Friday, lots of clouds. High near 57 this upcoming weekend. Not really like it was last weekend. We'll have partly cloudy skies on Saturday and Sunday, kind of a 50-50 mix. Temperatures slightly above normal with a slight chance of rain. So system number one today, tonight, and Tuesday. We get a break on Wednesday, most of Thursday. Next system comes in Friday, hangs around for the weekend. So that's your forecast as far as your passes are concerned. A little bit of rain-snow mix coming down right now on I-90. That's a live shot. No advisories, no restrictions. Stevens Pass right now is fine. Just a little bit of light snow coming down, not really sticking to the roadway. Roadway is mostly bare and dry. No advisories, no restrictions. No advisories or restrictions on Blewett Pass. You're good to go there. As far as snow today, a couple of inches in the mountain passes today, a couple of inches tonight, a couple of inches on Tuesday as the system comes in. And then it should be dry Tuesday night, Wednesday, and most of Wednesday night. Thursday, the next round of snow comes in, and then intermittent snow is expected in the mountain passes Thursday night, Friday, and into the weekend. No significant snow event, just a couple of inches here, a couple of inches there, off and on throughout the course of the week. And by the way, the DOT has extended the deadline to take the studs off your car. Normally it's weather related, but it's not weather related. It's coronavirus related because a lot of the stores that do that take off your studs and put your regular tires back on. They're practicing social distancing and not really doing a great deal of that. And so it's kind of a low priority getting your studs off your tires, so the DOT has extended the deadline. Normally it's March 31st. Now you don't have to worry about that for the time being. We are going to take a break and come back with your Monday morning news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 1 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life Channel.
My name is Lacey Haggerty, and I'm a nurse midwife with Columbia Valley Community Health. I love all aspects of my job because it is a profession that's very committed to empowering women to make decisions in their health care that feel best for them. It's incredibly valuable to me as a midwife that I get to take care of women throughout their whole lifespan. I hope to see you at a future visit because I know you'll love having midwifery care.
Doghouse Motorsports just won Best Motorsports Store for the 6th year in a row. Is it the great facility? Is it the fantastic products? Or is it?
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Tabor.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Glenn.
Hi, I'm Todd.
I'm Jeff.
And this is the Doghouse Service Team.
Hi, I'm Dee.
And I'm Dwayne.
And I'm Kathy.
Come on in and experience the Doghouse.
Are you in the doghouse?
.43 degrees, a few high clouds outside of our studios at 9 minutes after the hour. Mostly sunny, breezy this morning, windy this afternoon, and then we have a mixture of clouds and sun. Quite a bit of sunshine Wednesday and Thursday. Basically unsettled weather for most of this week. And here's what's making headlines on this Monday. A third patient in Chelan County has tested positive for the novel coronavirus infection. The Chelan Douglas Health District reporting that finding on Friday morning. Medical authorities are not releasing information about the patient's identity or medical status. Confluence Health spokesperson Andrew Canning said the patient was tested by Confluence staff. The result came back from the University of Washington Health Laboratories on Thursday night. Now, Canning said the health district asked Confluence not to disclose further information about COVID-19 patients aside from county of residence. 2 other patients identified last week. They were isolated after their diagnosis. 1 other patient, a Grant County resident, died a couple of weeks ago of COVID-19 complications while hospitalized here in Wenatchee. The discovery of new cases, not unexpected, according to the district. Continued social distancing practices and rigorous hand washing are still very much encouraged. Here are the latest numbers. Washington State has had just under 2,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19, 95 deaths from the virus. This is according to the figures released by the Washington State Department of Health on Sunday afternoon. The vast majority of both positive tests and deaths remain in King County, though the virus has reached pretty much every corner of this state. Hardest hit in north central Washington, Grant County has 18 positive tests and 1 death. Statewide, nobody under the age of 40 has yet been killed by the coronavirus, and exactly half the total deaths have been people 80 years of age or older. Pybus Public Market in Wenatchee closed their main concourse yesterday, and it's going to stay closed until at least April 1st. This is in response to the COVID-19 outbreak. Executive Director Leslie Freitag says food-related businesses remain open. They will be serving their customers through their exterior doors. Freitag said because Pybus is such a popular gathering place, it was time to take the next step to best protect employees and customers in the market. The state announced yesterday that it's closing all campgrounds. All campgrounds in the state will close to the end of next month, April 30th. The idea is to help reduce the spread of COVID-19. The closure includes roofed accommodations like cabins and yurts. No new campers will be allowed into the campgrounds operated by the Washington State Parks Department, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Department of Natural Resources. Day use areas and trails remain open, though the state urged people to practice social distancing. Anybody who had a reservation through April 30th will be contacted and will be offered a refund. And finally, on this Monday morning, one man is dead and another has been arrested for a first-degree murder charge after an altercation at a Tenaska residence. This happened on Saturday night. Okanagan County deputies responded about 5:39 Saturday night to 519 South Whitcomb on a call of a man who had been assaulted and covered in blood. The man was dead. When they arrived just before 10 Saturday night, they arrested Anthony Mateo, pictured there, 34 years old, of Tenasket. They arrested him in the Loomis area. The 57-year-old victim who was killed has not been identified. And that's a look at what's making news on this Monday morning. Hang in there, parents. If you're a parent with kids in the local school districts, that's 1 week down, 5 weeks to go. We hope. We're going to be working on another newscast. The news crew has been very busy, but they're very good at what they do. It's fun working with professionals with a preview of tonight's news. Here's the anchor, Grant Olson.
Good Monday morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, we'll have the latest local info and numbers on the coronavirus. I'll have your cooler and wetter North Central Washington weather forecast, and Eric Granster will be in with more of No Sports, No Problem. That and more coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. Hope to see you then. Dan?
Thank you, Grant. We appreciate it. You want to chime in? You got a news tip for us? Get a hold of us. Go to ncwlife.com. That's our website. It's full of information. We've been populating it all the time, even on weekends. We populate our website, so check it out. And at the very top of our website, you'll see the Contact Us icon. If you click on that, a form pops up. You can fill it out, send it on down the line. If you want to email us directly, that's fine too. news@ncwlife.com is our email address, news@ncwlife.com. Or you can go to our Facebook page. Be sure to like us, and you can drop us a line via Facebook Messenger. Going to take a break, come back with sports, the obscure holiday today in history, a significant celebrity birthday. Everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. Jefferson Robins' conversation with Congresswoman Kim Schrier, and my conversation with the dirt diva Bonnie Orr on this Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
This is Caitlin Hedershe, the producer of the NCW Life magazine. Each week, I'm bringing you a look behind the scenes of the faces, places, and events that make North Central Washington the place we call home. Tune in every weekday for an in-depth look at a new topic each week. From local artists in their studios to businesses breaking barriers that might surprise you and everything in between. Join me on the NCW Life magazine right here on the NCW Life channel.
Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is your place for famous blues, brews, and barbecue. We are your one-stop bar and grill, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Hi, Justin here, owner of Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere. Looking for a fun night out? Join us at Club Crow. We have live bands to rock the night away, comedy to make you laugh, and if that's not enough, we have poker every Monday and Wednesday night. Club Crow in Cashmere has it all. Check out our Facebook event page for dates and times. Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
And we are back in this Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz, quarter after the hour. Sports. The Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, said earlier today that a postponement of the Tokyo Olympics would be unavoidable if the Games cannot be held in a complete way. He was commenting on the International Olympic Committee's plan to examine the situation over the next few weeks and then make a decision which could include the option to postpone. Now, USA Swimming and USA Track and Field have sent formal letters to the U.S. Olympic Committee to delay the Games. Canada said, we're not going to send any athletes unless the Summer Games are delayed 1 year. That's according to ESPN. The Olympic flame arrived in northern Japan on Friday. The 2020 Olympics are scheduled anyway to begin July 24th and run through August 9th. We shall see. With a global health crisis taking its toll in the Puget Sound area, Vulcan Incorporated, that's the Paul Allen Family Foundation, and Vulcan Incorporated and the Paul G. Allen Foundation and the Seahawks are doing their part to make a difference in the community. The support efforts include monetary donations to a number of local causes, a commitment to pay part-time employees affected by cancellations at CenturyLink Field, food donations, supporting local blood drives with Bloodworks Northwest. The Seahawks and CenturyLink Field have committed more than $700,000 to pay part-time employees affected by the canceled events. Well, the Seahawks continued to add depth to their offensive line during this free agency signing period. According to the NFL Network's Mike Garofalo, offensive lineman Chance Warmack became the fourth free agent O-lineman to sign with the Hawks. Warmack last played for the Eagles in 2018. He took last year off to reportedly get healthy. The number 10 overall pick in 2013, Warmack didn't miss a game through his first 2 seasons with Tennessee. Over the next 4 years, he missed a combined 28 games. Seattle is trying to bolster their offensive line that is ranked 24th in the NFL in sacks allowed last season. Coming up on the NCW Life Channel sports broadcast for the week. It ain't much, but we're going to do what we can do. Tune in tomorrow night at 7 for a Big 9 baseball game from last April between the Wildcats and the Cadets. Joel Norman with the play-by-play there. Thursday night features boys soccer. Eastmont hosting Moses Lake from a game last April. Sebastian Moraga and Matt Wiesen had the call. Friday begins a wild weekend of hockey with the Wenatchee Wild. We're going to be broadcasting 5 games from the Wild's just completed BCHL season, starting with Merritt Wenatchee Friday night at 7. Saturday, both games of a back-to-back series against Penticton. That'll air at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock on Saturday. On Sunday, you get Prince George at Wenatchee at 2 o'clock, and then you can watch the Wenatchee and Nanaimo game at 7 o'clock. And those are just some of the games that people aren't playing on this Monday, the obscure holiday. I had a bunch to choose from. It's World Meteorological Day, so for you weather geeks out there, this is your day. National Chia Day, National Chip and Dip Day, it's National Melba Toast Day, it's National Near Miss Day, but no. How about this? How about National Puppy Day? Can't go wrong with that. The idea of National Puppy Day was created to urge people to adopt puppies and not buy them from puppy farms, puppy mills. Puppy mills are, well, quite frankly, cruel. If you ask me, of course, they just keep dogs caged up and bred for the express purposes of selling their puppies later on for profit. And then when the dogs can't have puppies anymore, they dispatch where the puppy mills need to go away, quite frankly. So even though the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society is closed, start making plans to maybe adopt a puppy. Puppy mills breed over 2 million puppies a year, and about 1.3 million dogs are euthanized in shelters every year. That's 1.3 million too many. Happy National Puppy. That makes you feel good just looking at that. National Puppy Day, little puppy Josh. 19 minutes after the hour. Puppies are so cool. Today in history. Give me liberty or give me death, said Patrick Henry, and he said it on this date, March 23rd, 1775, at St. John's Episcopal Church in Richmond, Virginia. The Virginia authorities were debating whether to send the Virginia militia into war to fight the Revolutionary War. This was in 1775, and Patrick Henry said, they're already out there, the British are, so I don't care what you guys do, I'm going to fight. Give me liberty or give me death. It's the most notable thing that Patrick Henry, one of the founding fathers, ever said, but still, he decided liberty or death. By the way, he got liberty, so good news there. Patrick Henry said that famous phrase 245 years ago today on March 23rd, 1775. March 23rd, 1806, 214 years ago, after spending the winter at the Pacific Coast in Oregon, Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery said it's time to go home, and they began the trip from the Pacific Coast back to St. Louis on this date, March 23rd, 1806. It took 557 days for the Corps of Discovery to make it from St. Louis to the Pacific Ocean, 557 days. It took only 185 days for them to get from the Pacific Ocean back to St. Louis for 3 reasons. Number 1, they knew the route. Number 2, it was mostly downhill. And number 3, they really wanted to get back home. So Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery started to head back east on this date, March 23rd, 1806. And finally, March 23rd, 1933, the nightmare began. The German Reichstag passed the Enabling Act of 1933. Basically what that meant is the German Reichstag, which is the equivalent of our Congress, said, we're not going to pass any more laws or bills. We're going to turn the whole thing over to Adolf. He's the dictator. It became official on this date in 1933. Thus, the nightmare began. Finally, birthday. The first man to break the 4-minute mile. He ended up being a very well-known physician in Great Britain. I'm talking about Sir Roger Bannister, was born in the state in 1929, died a couple of years ago at the age of 88. He was a neurologist and academic, but his claim to fame came on the 6th day of May, 1954 at Iffy Road Track in Oxford. He ran the mile in 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. The first man ever to run the mile in less than 4 minutes. By the way, his world record lasted for just 46 days. The current world record for the mile is held by Hikam El Gerojo in a time of 3 minutes, 43 seconds, 0.13. So they basically have now running the mile in 17 seconds less than Sir Roger Bannister did it, but he was the first, and he did that back in 1954. He was born in this state in 1929. 22 minutes after the hour, we have 2 interviews to get to on this Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We're going to take a break, come back with Mike McNally's opinion, and then Jefferson Robins had a chance to talk to Congresswoman Kim Schrier, who's also a practicing physician. He did that via Skype on Friday. We'll have his complete interview. We'll take a break, and then my conversation with the Dirt Diva Bonnie Orr. If you're stuck at home, you can still go out and get your yard and garden ready to go for spring. Your garden, you can do that. My conversation with Bonnie's coming up as well. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Boating in the Wenatchee Valley starts at Bob File Boats and Motors. See their full line of Crown Line boats. When you want to escape from reality, make a Crown Line boat your choice of entertainment. Enjoy time with a friend in your socially distant boat. With low interest rates and lower gas prices, now's the time to buy. See Crown Line boats at Bob File Boats and Motors on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee or online at bobfile.com.
Family roles change with time. You may find yourself being an unpaid caregiver to a loved one. Caregiving can be rewarding, but also stressful. Taking care of yourself is vital. Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington has low or no cost services for unpaid caregivers, such as in-home support, care supplies, and counseling. Connect in your local area by calling Aging and Adult Care at 800-572-4459 and mention you're interested in caregiver support.
What is it to be a volunteer firefighter? Is it the gear, the training, the vehicles you learn to drive, the honor of protecting your community? Time, energy, sweat, sometimes blood and even tears. Every call may not be a victory. Sometimes you'll walk away wondering if you helped at all. But sometimes you will be a hero.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills. A chill is in the air and it's a perfect time for some old-fashioned comfort food like our amazing Eggs Benedict, chicken fried steak, French dips, soups made from scratch, or fruit pies fresh from the oven. The crowds might be gone, but we're still here for you folks. So bring an appetite and a friend to Blueberry Hills in Manson, where you pick, you sit, you eat, and you visit. Open Wednesday through Sunday from 8 to 3. wildaboutberries.com.
Green Motion e-bikes have rolled into Wenatchee. We've got fun, affordable e-bikes for the whole family. Portable e-bikes that fit right in the trunk of your car. Fat tire mountain bikes plus unique vintage style bikes you won't find anywhere else. Get some exercise with pedal assist or just cruise up to 20 miles per hour with the throttle. Starting under $1,000, Green Motion e-bikes are affordable fun for the whole family. Green Motion e-bikes is located right downtown on the corner of Palouse and Wenatchee Avenue.
This is Mike, Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, I really made a decision as a mental health professional and for someone who provides treatment to domestic abuse perpetrators. I'm going to deal with issues of respectful relationships with the adolescent young men who come to me for counseling. Now, I'm going to do this with each one of them. I ask each one of them, what kind of man do you want to be? Someone who respects women and children, who treats them with care and consideration, or something else? Now, of course, they all say they want to be decent, good men, but honestly, we have to help our young men and boys to fully understand what it means to be a decent and respectful man in this society. Yes, we do. This is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and that's my opinion.
Oh, that's awesome. Look at that. Yeah.
There he is. Sure wish he was here.
Yeah, no kidding.
Little 4-point.
It's a nice coconut.
Solid fish.
Watch the Northwest Outdoorsman with Richie Herod Saturdays and Sundays at 6 a.m., 9:30 a.m., and 4:30 p.m. on the NCW Life Channel.
It's our fabulous clearance time at Collins in downtown Wenatchee. Savings up to 75% off. It's our famous buy one, get one free sale. That's right, buy one clothing sale item and get the next one of equal or lesser value free. Brands like Tribal, French dressing, Ribcop, Icelandic, jackets, vests, tops, jeans, and dresses. We have boots at 50% off, select Brighton and Lotus 50% off, handbags and jewelry. Come in ASAP for the best selection at Collins, where fun meets fashion in downtown Wenatchee.
I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, and this is Guada TV. Every week we will be bringing you a first look at North Central Washington business, tech, and education news. You'll hear from local influencers and innovators who live right here in the Valley. Together, we'll discuss hot topics, current events, and resources that can support your business, our schools, and this community. Join me every week, and let's get inspired.
AC Checker has new owners who put customer service first. When you have to get there on time, call fast, friendly, reliable AC Checker, 663-TAXI. AC Checker has the industry's only on-time or it's free guarantee. Conditions apply. Call AC Checker, 663-TAXI to schedule your cab or schedule online at acchecker.com. Call American Classic Taxi, 663-TAXI. That's 663-8294.
We're back at 29 minutes after the hour on this Monday, just like everybody else in the House of Representatives. Congresswoman Kim Schrier trying to stay healthy while at the same time conducting the business of the nation. That includes emergency legislation on coronavirus. The 8th District Democrat got some good news last week when the Medicare system granted special waivers to Washington hospitals. What exactly does that mean? The Congresswoman had a chance to converse with her own Jefferson Robins via Skype on Friday.
And one of the things that we really needed was these Section 1135 waivers, because there are so many rules with Medicare and Medicaid that are meant to protect. For example, the typical rule is that before somebody recovering from, say, knee surgery in the hospital can go to inpatient rehabilitation, they need to spend 72 hours in the hospital. that means that hospital bed is taken up by somebody who doesn't need to be in a hospital bed. And so it undoes rules like that. It also allows for the setup of drive-through testing, which keeps people away from the hospital. Is so important. And will allow, for example, the Army Corps of Engineers to be able to build accessory facilities where people can go and get treated. So it really gets rid of a lot of red tape, and we asked for it over a week ago.
One of the problems, though, is that on the ground, we've seen it here in Wenatchee, the availability of testing and testing supplies has been an issue. So is there anything Congress can do to enable greater availability of that testing?
So when we put through that bill, and that part of the bill was mine, it was free testing so that there wouldn't be co-pays. If somebody didn't have insurance, they could still get tested. The idea was that we did not want anybody to not see their doctor, not get tested, not take sick leave for financial reasons. So that whole sort of first financial package was to make sure people could get tested and stay home from work and stay home with their children if they needed to. The problem is that there's this disconnect right now between what we hear from the administration. I don't want to get political about this, and what we're really seeing on the ground, because we hear things like, oh, there'll be drive-through testing. Anybody who wants a test can get a test. And yet we're running out of swabs. We're running out of reagents. Test kits aren't getting everywhere. The nurses and doctors who want to do the testing don't have the right personal protective equipment to put on. And so the reality on the ground does not match what we're hearing in the national news. The reality on the ground is that we have very few tests, and they need to be reserved for first responders, people who work in healthcare providers, and for people who are the sickest or at highest risk. And you know, I'm also frustrated that we see this mixed message coming from, you know, basketball players who are being tested with no symptoms, and that is a waste of resources that people who are ill really need.
Are there steps that Congress can take, though, to sort of open up that channel, more financing or funding for testing, for example?
Sure. You know, it is not a question of funding. We have provided a ton of funding. What this is really a question of, I believe, is the administration stepping up. We've heard about talk with 3M and Honeywell. We've heard about we make requests every week from the national stockpile. But let me just put this in perspective. The anticipation is we're going to need over 1 billion of these N95 masks, and there are in the single millions in the national stockpile. And between us and New York and California, we're going to blow through that really quickly. And in my opinion, what we need is for this to be part of the Defense Production Act, where our president doesn't just talk about having that, but really uses it and says, okay, t-shirt makers, it's time to start making masks instead. Okay, you know, we heard Tesla offered and to start making ventilators. It is time. In fact, a month ago was time to start getting that going. And I don't mean to be alarmist, but I want to put real numbers out there. There's something like 72,000 ventilators in the entire country, and that includes the national stockpile. And the estimates vary, but it's around that. If half the people in our country are going to get this, that's 150 million people. And if 5% of them need to be in the ICU, we are looking at a world of hurt.
One aspect that's troubling for communities is seeing all these businesses shut, seeing people who, A, are under order to stay home, but B, also don't have a job to go to necessarily right now. What's in the channel in Congress for relief for businesses and relief for workers who are just thoroughly displaced?
Right. I have been on multiple calls over the past few days as we look at how to formulate this. I hear a lot from the administration and from my colleagues about individual parts of industry, individual sectors that need more help than others. But the reality is that every sector is going to need help here. And so we need a really big, really bold approach. And I would anticipate that multiple packages will be coming soon. One of the discussions we're having right now is that we passed a really generous unemployment benefit, so people can get emergency unemployment. It can be expedited. They don't have to go in person. They don't have to show they're looking for a job. But some of us aren't convinced that that's the right way to go about that. I mean, it's an emergency measure, but we're looking at things like, and again, this is what's being discussed, can we instead make grants or zero interest loans to small businesses and to other businesses to keep their employees on the payroll, to keep paying employees, to have like paid leave instead, so that as this economy turns around and comes back, people will be there ready to go to work on day one. People will get over this illness and they need to have a job to go back to right away. So we are trying to be as thoughtful as possible about how to help individuals, people in the gig economy, people who, for example, haven't paid taxes because they earn too little. They would be cut out of this current discussion of a cash handout, and they're exactly the people who need it the most. And so we are looking at an all of the above approach, and whatever we do will be big.
Now, Congresswoman, you're also a doctor, a medical doctor. Congress is a very social body. You have to mix and mingle with each other and meet with your constituents as available. So, and recently, 2 members of Congress, at least to my knowledge, have been diagnosed as positive for COVID-19 virus. Do you worry in this situation about Congress's ultimate ability to do its job, that this could incapacitate the legislative branch of government?
Well, this is another thing I brought up probably a month ago. I mean, the writing was on the walls, right? A third of Congress is senior citizens. Then there's people like me. I'm not quite a senior, but I have type 1 diabetes. I just think that the notion that we are flying across the country twice a week and in a crowded setting is a recipe for disaster. I can assure you that we will continue to do our job. We are looking at ways to enact either remote voting or, when we are in Washington, D.C., to only have 10 people at a time go in and vote, to do some of our debate and just watch it from our offices on C-SPAN. This week here in district, I am doing all of my meetings either by phone or like this, by video, because it's not just us. We want to make sure that our constituents are safe. I don't want groups of veterans who are also older flying across the country to meet with us. That's unnecessary and it puts people at risk.
And we should note that on Monday night, you'll be hosting a teleconference town hall on this very subject, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Is there
The last
information?
one we did, I was just going to say that the last teletown hall we did for constituents had thousands of people join. Hundreds were still on at the end of the call. There was a lot of interest, a lot of questions we couldn't even get to. So if you keep an eye on my official site website, schrier@house.gov, there will be a call-in number. We can only call out to so many people, but anybody who is a constituent can call in and be part of this telephone town hall.
Congresswoman, is there anything else you think people should be aware of in your district concerning coronavirus or the federal government's responses to it?
Well, I'm going to speak as a doctor now, which is frankly where I am most comfortable. And here's what I want people to know. One, we had a headline yesterday that about 40% of the people in the hospital right now, in hospital beds, taking up room in our hospitals, are people between 20 and 45. That means that all of you people at home right now who are feeling pretty cavalier about this, oh, I'm not in a high-risk group, so nothing will happen to me, you are wrong. This is 10 times deadlier than the flu. You need to do your part. If you are out, if you're shopping, you are spreading this virus. It brings me to point number 2. A lot of people out there are spreading this virus before they have symptoms, or people who never even get symptoms. In fact, the estimates are that 80% of the cases we know about were contracted from people with no symptoms. Somebody who feels fine, touches their nose, touches the counter in the supermarket, you touch it, you touch your eye, you've got this thing. And so I think that the advice that we were giving a couple weeks ago, which was stay home if you're not feeling well, that's already out of date. It's time to just stay home and not spread your germs around.
Congresswoman Kim Schrier, we're grateful that you could join us, and thanks a lot for your time. We'll look forward to your teleconference town hall on Monday evening.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Join us for Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life channel. This former police sergeant is plugged into not only the world of the streets, he's an actor and connoisseur of the arts. So join Mike and his guests for, well, Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mondays at 10 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m., and Wednesdays at 5:30. It's Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life channel.
love to help others. You need a solid career. You can have it all with help from Charter College. Our 10-month medical assistant program prepares you to work in healthcare settings like physician offices, rehab centers, and clinics. You'll learn to take patient vitals, assist with exams, administer injections, and maintain medical records. When you're ready to launch a rewarding healthcare career, visit chartercollege.edu because we work to get you to work.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. It is spring. I love spring. Yes, the vernal equinox came and went on Thursday night at 8:49 in the evening. And that means it's time to start thinking about not only getting outside, but getting that garden into shape for the upcoming growing season. And we have one expert and one expert only to refer to that. And that is, of course, my good friend, Bonnie Orr, the Dirt Diva. Welcome back.
Good morning. Good
How
morning.
are ya? Right out of the box, I got to tell you, I got a flyer in the mail a couple days ago from a local hardware store. I'm not going to mention the name of the hardware store. I told Ace Hardware I would not mention their name. It had all the stuff. You know,
Right.
turf builders on sale, fertilizers
everything.
on sale. Are we good? Can I go buy it and use it?
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
the thing is that forsythia is in bloom, and that's always a sign that the soil is 50 degrees. So this is the time to put on pre-emergent, to thatch, aerate, if you haven't done it for the last 3 years, okay, and get your turf ready to go.
Okay, because my yard had a good winter. It was certainly better than last winter when it was.
Right.
It took forever for everybody's yard to get going.
That's
It's so
right.
cold.
And not very much snow mold
Yeah.
because there wasn't very much snow,
Yeah.
not very much compaction because there wasn't any water.
Yeah,
It's
ve-
really dry.
People forget about that. We're in a drought right now.
Yeah.
We're dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's be weather geeks for a
Weather
minute.
geeks, yeah. The stats for winter, that is, of course, now just in the books, starting on December 21st and going through the 19th day of March. The coldest temperature we ever got here in the Wenatchee Valley was 13 degrees. That was back on January 16th. The warmest was 65 degrees, which was a record high. That was on March 4th. But here's the two things that amazed me the most. The most snow we got in one day was only about 4 inches. That was back on January 16th. And the entire snowfall for the entire year, as measured at Pangbourne, 7.3 inches. That
No, the
was
total
it.
precipitation for
Was
the
even-
whole year
yeah.
last year. Total precipitation, yeah.
It's not, I mean, dry.
Yes,
Dry.
we are really dry. It's dry as dust. And so, you know, this is I tried to check and see when the water was going to be in the ditches. They don't have that information up because they're still working on the ditches. But I wouldn't be taking my mulch up yet
Okay.
because you don't want to lose any more of your soil.
Whatever moisture you can trap, you want to be
That's
able to
right.
trap it.
That's right.
Is it obviously for those people who don't or aren't not on the irrigation ditch, they can just hook up a spigot to the side of the house? Is it way too early to water, or can you water?
Well, you can. You know, the thing is, that you have to think about why you are watering. Okay, if you're going to be fertilizing, you're going to be watering in. You know, I think it's too early to actually fertilize.
Okay.
I think that what you want to do right now, if you want to take care of your lawn, you want to put down a pre-emergent for crabgrass. And if your lawn is spongy, or if your worms have been coming up to the surface, you will probably want to either thatch or aerate. And if your worms are coming to the surface, you probably need to consider how you are watering.
Okay.
Because soil is organic material, inorganic material, rocks and things like that, and 50% air and water. So if you are filling up that 50% of the air with extra water, the worms have nothing to breathe.
Okay.
And so that's why they come to the surface.
I understand. What else is it simply too early to do, at least for a while yet? Because people want to get out there and do it, but they shouldn't be doing it yet. Some of those. Give me some examples.
Okay, this is the perfect time because we are all home, right?
Yeah.
We are all staying home, and we are going to be tired of watching videos and everything else. This is the time to truly get ahead of your weeds this year. All that all of the quack grass that has invaded your beds, the things that you've wanted to get rid of, this is the year to do it because you have 2 weeks now with nothing to do.
Yeah.
So everyone will have fabulous yards this year.
I did. I heeded your advice, and I put my yard to. I don't have a lot of plants outside. I have a big oak tree, and that's about it. But I put my yard to bed correctly. I did all the right things, and I didn't mow it too low, before the frost and the snow came. I cleaned it up. It's ready to go. My yard hasn't looked this good this time of the year, and it has in a long time.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so things you can do. This is the time to prune and fertilize your roses and your raspberries and your blueberries. And you need to cut out the old canes in the raspberries, and you cut the top 4 inches off each cane, because then that promotes lateral growth, and the berries are only produced on lateral growth. And on your blueberries, you want to take out the oldest canes, because you want to have the promotion of new. It produces fruit on new canes.
How aggressive do you want to be with your roses?
We haven't. My roses hardly lost any leaves, but something that's really some people don't want to do. They go, well, the leaves are still good, but last year's leaves could be hiding mildew spores and insect eggs, and so. Again, we have plenty of time because we have nothing else to do. So you go out and you cut off all the old leaves, okay? Cut them off. Don't tear them off, because if you tear them off, you're going to tear the buds. And so cut them off, and then you could still do a lime sulfur spray to make sure that you got rid of the mildew spores, because that's a thing that people complain about a lot.
Yeah.
And you can prune them any way you want. But you know something that's really interesting? You need to know what kind of rose you have before you prune it. People, well, I have this rose bush. How do I prune it? I go, Floribunda, hybrid tea, shrub rose. What is it? Well, so you have to wait till it blooms. And when it blooms, you can ask people who know about those sorts of things what kind of rose this is, and you can do a midsummer pruning, and it won't hurt it at all.
It is too early for annuals.
Yes, I mean, and all those bare root things. So the soil is barely 50, barely. It really is in the 40s. And the roots are the most sensitive part of a plant. So buying those things and putting them out right now, it's just not a good idea. But it is time to plant your vegetable seedlings if you want to do. And I like planting vegetables from seed rather than buying a pack of them, because I then have seeds left over in August for my winter garden.
That's right.
And just this last week, we had the last of the carrots. I made pickled beets from the last of the beets. And what else did we have in the garden? I had carrots and potatoes. I dug the last of the stored potatoes. Ooh, they were so sweet and so wonderful.
In all my experience, the instructions on the back of the packet are usually pretty much spot on, right?
Right, yeah.
I mean, they want you to succeed in growing your potatoes and your carrots and
That's
stuff like
right. But here's the deal. If you're going to grow tomatoes, you have, in 6 weeks you can put them out. But you don't want to plant most things like corn and beans and cucumbers and all sorts of things like that. The soil has to be 50. Okay? Or excuse me, I said that wrong. The soil has to be 70.
70.
Soil, not air temperature.
And we're a long way before the soil temperatures are going to be 70.
That's going to be mid-May.
Yeah.
So just don't waste the seed. Okay.
Yeah.
You could plant peas now, and you can wait for 2 weeks. If you plant peas now, that you will have about maybe 60% germination. But if you wait until the soil is in the true 50s, you'll have much greater germination.
Well, it should be pointed out, and Bonnie's mentioned this before, garden center is going to be opening, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be selling the kinds of trees and shrubs and bushes for you to plant now, because there's like, here they are, come get them, because when people buy them, they want to plant them.
That's right, and then so we won't have them later, but this is the same thing. We won't have toilet paper later either.
What about, I mentioned trees and shrubs, can we plant those now?
The soil is too cold.
Still
Remember,
too cold.
the roots are, okay, so the beginning of May is the time to plant it.
Okay.
So we are not having, I'm president of the Arbor Day group. We are not going to have the distribution in April this year.
Okay. Are there tulips coming up yet? I don't have tulips anymore.
Yes, they are. They are coming up, and we're too late to fertilize them. Normally you fertilize them when they first have the first 2 inches above ground, but mine are probably 6 inches up now. So I missed that early one. Soil temperature.
It's everything.
I can't stress this enough. And you can buy an instant read thermometer for about $10 or $10, okay? And you use that, and that is how you determine how you are going to plant and how you're going to fertilize.
But you also have to put it down at the same depth that it's supposed to be planted at, right? Or does it really
Well,
matter?
my probe is 6 inches, and the roots are going to grow to 6 inches eventually.
Okay.
So, you know.
So that's just a good safe rule
Yeah.
of thumb. Yeah. Get ahead of the weeds. This is
That's
a perfect
right.
time to do that.
It is.
Yeah.
And, you know, Easter is going to be in a few weeks, and many people get Easter lilies. You know, you can plant those out in the garden. You plant them in the garden, you cut the spent flowers, you plant them in the garden, and they will bloom again for you. Most likely the green part, the stems will die. But then they sprout again, and they will bloom for you in September, which is their normal time to bloom in nature.
What a lot of people take their healthy outdoor plants, they put them inside.
I do the same thing.
Where soil temperature really is an issue. When can you bring them back outside? Because they're not going to be planted; they're just going to stay in planters.
You know, it's nighttime temperatures.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't want nighttime temperatures below 50.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And this is the time of the year where the temperatures can really swing.
Right.
We can have overnight lows below 30s, and we can see afternoon
That's
highs
right.
in the 60s.
Our nighttime temperatures will not be below. Will not be above 50 probably till May.
Okay. And does that put a great deal of stress on almost every kind of plant?
Yes.
These huge temperature variations that we get this time of the year?
What happens is it shuts down at night, and then it takes a great deal of time during the day to warm up, and then it has to shut down again. So it is really hard.
A lot of people still, although there's a program that's out there now, and I don't have the exact information in front of me, and I apologize for that. People who still have backyard trees, cherry trees, apple trees, they've been there forever, apricot trees, what have you. A lot of people are getting rid of them. There are groups out there that will come and get rid of it for free because we don't want to spread the bad stuff around to our orchardist friends.
You're required to spray your and if you've missed the window, I think you can still do maybe some dormant spray. I don't think all the buds are totally open yet. I'm not sure. I haven't been out to see an orchard, but for sure in May you need to do the sprays for cherries and apples, and also, I mean, the dormant sprays, many people don't do them, and in February this year was the time to do them. You can have really wonderful peaches, but if you have all sorts of borers and all sorts of other fungal diseases, then why even have a peach tree?
And that makes perfect sense. I had a plum tree, and I love plums, but I couldn't handle all of those damn plums, and before you know it, they're on the ground, and they're rotting on the ground, and it's just same deal with apricots.
Why have a fruit tree unless you have dozens of friends who love apricots? Truly.
What else is on your mind?
Besides being able to do that, the spray schedules for the fruit, noxious weeds and obnoxious weeds, because you know there are weeds like that are not on the list that are still weeds, and they come up probably toward the end of April, beginning of May, and when they are in the small stage, that's when you can just sort of scrape them up, and you look for places. You know, last year the Russian thistle, the tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Okay. Last year, a piece about this big, a little piece of dried stuff, landed in my yard, and I went over and picked it up at the end of April, and there were 40 new little plants coming out of that teeny weeny little piece.
They get a toehold wherever they can.
That's right. Anyway, scraping them up is much easier to do, and you don't have to use chemicals and things like that. You know, because they're annuals also. But getting them at the rosette stage, it's important to stay on top of noxious weeds. And it is obnoxious weeds also. You don't want your neighbors.
Pull them up or kill them with a herbicide.
Well, you know, the thing is that when they're young, it's just a matter of pulling them, you know. So, because one of the things is that here's what happens is that people many times want to use an herbicide and they spray, and then what happens is that a little puff of wind comes up, and lo and behold, the maple tree not too far away has a dead section. I mean, and if it's too hot, it volatilizes. So, and you have to be dressed appropriately to use those things. So why not just use the hoe? You know.
A couple of quick items before we cut you loose. I know you're busy. The Noxious Weed Control Board is a governmental agency, and because of the recent COVID-19 outbreak, they're actually closed for day-to-day business for the time being. But what about for your general garden questions? Can you still get a hold of various experts, or you're just
I think you just have to depend on yourself for now.
That's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
Online resources are great, though.
That's right.
Yeah, online resources are good. Any particular websites that you would want to steer people to that you know is going to give you accurate information about things right now?
Well, I mean, for like the Noxious Weed Board, has a fabulous site which tells you what the plant looks like as a
baby,
when it first germinates, and
right.
then as it grows as a rosette. So there's great pictures, and you can do a pretty accurate identification. So those websites, and I'm not sure what else. Okay, there you could type in temperature for seeding things. I think if you just type in things, wonderful stuff comes up. If I was going to rely on information, I would go to an EDU site,
absolutely,
rather than a COM site, a com site. Because it would maybe be more scientific based.
Yep. So to recap, it's too early for annuals. Soil temperature is everything.
I believe that.
Anything else before we send people out there to get their gardening going here?
This is the time to get ahead of your slugs.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason we never used to have slugs, but what happens is that garden centers of different kinds over the years have brought in plants from the other side where the slugs live, and their eggs were in the soil, and we now have slugs.
Jeez.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
But the slugs are under the ground. They live quite a ways under, sometimes a couple of feet under the ground. And if you kill 10 of them now, you will have eliminated more than 1,000 of them from your garden later.
Yeah, they like to.
They multiply very rapidly.
They multiply. They're worse than rabbits, as a matter of fact.
Yes, they are.
It's always good to see you, Bonnie.
Good.
Yay!
And lots of good things going on.
Lots of good things going on. And if you're homebound, and a lot of people are homebound because
everybody
of the
should be
situation.
homebound.
Yeah, if you're not, you should be. Go out and get. Like
This is a great time to garden.
do it. Yeah.
Great time to garden.
Because I've been putting it off and putting it off.
Yeah,
No
right.
excuse. Go out and do it.
And I've always wanted to have a flower bed there. This is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
Bonnie Orr, everybody, the Dirt Diva. Give her a big hand. Happy gardening. I will see you. Well, I'll see you before June 21st.
But we'll find out what's happening on June 21st.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always good to see you, Bonnie.
Good to see you.
Happy vernal equinox.
Happy vernal equinox.
Absolutely. I love spring. It's one of my 4 favorite times of the year.
Indeed.
You're watching Wake Up in Angie Valley. We'll be right back.
The 2 hottest pickups in America are at Town Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. First, the Ram 1500 with back-to-back Truck of the Year awards from Motor Trend, and now the Car and Driver 10 Best list for 2020. They call it a luxury sedan with pickup capabilities. Ram is on a roll now with 3rd-generation EcoDiesel power. Next up, the Jeep Gladiator, also a 2020 10 Best model based on the new award-winning Jeep Wrangler. It has options and capabilities that no other truck can offer. 2 more reasons when it comes to buying a truck. There's no reason to leave town. Badger Mountain Brewing is proud to announce the grand opening of our new kitchen. Come try out our new menu featuring fabulous steaks, prime rib, gourmet burgers, and seafood grilled up by experienced meat master Chef Galen Goodman. To complement your mouth-watering meal, Badger Mountain Brewing features 14 in-house crafted beers, an alcohol-free root beer infused with 11 different herbs and spices, 3 different ciders, and a great wine selection. Don't miss out on the best meats and the best brews down at Badger Mountain Brewing, located at 1 Orondo Avenue across the tracks from the Pybus Market.
And we are back. A few high clouds, 45 degrees outside of our studios here in downtown Wenatchee. Different kind of a weather pattern coming our way for most of the week. The word, if you can do it in a single word, is unsettled. The word today, breezy and then windy. Yeah, it's going to be breezy this morning, a west wind about 6 to 11 miles an hour. Then it's going to pick up in intensity this afternoon as the system rolls in, 15 to 20 miles an hour. And then look at that map and figure out where you live. These are your wind gusts for this afternoon here in the Wenatchee Valley, anywhere between 25 to 30 miles an hour. Obviously, in the more exposed areas that are used to getting a little bit more wind, you're going to be upwards of 30, 35 miles an hour wind gusts. Up in the Chelan area, certainly up in the Grand Coulee area, the Waterville Plateau. And out in the Columbia Basin, they're a little concerned that they're going to have some blowing dust and dirt out in the Columbia Basin, basically on that ribbon of I-90 between George, pretty much all the way to Ritzville and right on into Spokane. Very, very little precipitation we've had over the last couple of months. It was a very dry winter, and so the soil is loose and ready to get blown around. So with those wind gusts near 40 miles an hour at times in Ritzville, If you're driving out of the Columbia Basin, visibility could very much be an issue. Real quickly, your forecast from the National Weather Service, as I mentioned before. We do have a slight chance of some light rain. Outside of that, it's going to be sunny. It's going to start out breezy this morning, windy this afternoon. We'll top off right around 59 degrees. Wind will be hanging around for most of the evening hours before it eventually diminishes overnight. We'll get down to 32 for the overnight low. Tuesday, look for lots of clouds, cooler than normal temperatures, 54 for the high. And then we get a nice break on Wednesday and Thursday. Then system number 2 comes in on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Have a good and safe Monday. We will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.